acapella version.
Perfect timing. All right, hold on. Fuck, I gotta switch over.
Hit it.
Yes.
We're live. Any day now. Go. Oh, yeah.
Let's try it again.
Oh, I think I lost internet.
No, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Here we go. The share is there. The share is gone. Good evening. Good morning. Suprabhatam from southern Kerala, state of India. This is Joe in India from the Autonomous Collective. I'm joined by Ann Lee, retired college professor, our resident scholar, and we're again joined by Walter from disputed territory up north in Canada, from the North of 48 podcast. Good evening and welcome, everybody.
Hey there.
Hey, we're coming live from the jungle today. Am I coming through loud and clear? I'm not sure how stable my internet
good.
is.
Sounds good, actually.
We got Walter there. Walter
Yeah,
in the house.
you betcha.
Oh, I have a treat for you tonight, Walter. This is a completely coriander, cilantro free meal.
Oh wow, that's excellent. You know, but considering everything that's happened, I only have 25% less enthusiasm for it. But so
Oh,
75% more than I usually do. So that's great.
we are coming from the jungle in the Western Ghats, with potential elephant crossings to our right. Hopefully there's no cobras running around. I've agreed with my kind host. I don't have access to their kitchen, but they agreed kindly to cook for us this evening. So they're going to prepare, while you guys are talking, we will be cooking up uttapham, specifically onion tomato uttapham. Uttapam is a savory fermented pancake, basically, or fry cake. It's made with a mixture of rice flour, ground rice, and ground urad dal. And it is fermented similar to how you would do a sourdough. It has a nice sour tinge to it, and it'll be a nice fluffy pancake in the end, which they top with onion, tomato, and chili, and then we garnish with a vegetable soup, which is called sambar. It has a number of different vegetables, sometimes okra, something other than okra that looks like okra, but I can't remember the name of it, which I just learned. And we have a tomato, onion, coconut chutney to also dip in the pancake, and I'll go up and eat later once we've finished making it and listen to the rest of the discussion as it goes on in the evening. So I shall hand it over to you all unless anyone has a question for me or our chef, if you know.
I'm just hungry again, that's all.
Mhm.
What is the Uridol or whatever you mentioned?
Do you know? It's sort of like mung bean, the green mung bean.
Ah,
That comes in a variety of different shapes and sizes and colors. So there's a smaller version called uridol. It's a very thin one. Usually it's split, and then you could cook it into stews and batters and things like that. The chili, I don't know if you remember the chilla uh, pancake I made a few episodes ago. That was I believe, is it chilla is North Indian?
North Indian.
Yeah, that's a similar version to this, but made with uh, another kind of dal.
So it's
So
more
you can make-
savory than sweet is what it is if it's North Indian,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
I was told they put a pinch of sugar in there. That also stimulates the fermentation. So so you don't have any other leavening agent aside from that. So yeah, so you can find it. You should be able to find it in a natural food store or Asian grocery store. The benefits of the uridal over mung dal is that it cooks much quicker. It can disintegrate in about 12 minutes. So it's a really quick and easy soup or stew if you want to make that. They're super practical. Lots of
This may
protein as
be
well.
one of the best things you've ever cooked.
I hope you enjoy, Walter.
I think so. I think I will. Well, if you could slip me host or
Oh yeah,
cook,
let me pass those to you. No problem.
wouldn't mind, and we'll get this party started, and we'll get back to you,
Yes,
Joe.
sir.
All righty.
Righty. Still waiting.
There we go. All yours.
We just remove, and I'm gonna remove you, but I'll bring you back, Joe. Okay. All right. Yeah.
How you been, Walt?
It's come see, come saw. Been okay.
Walter, let me know when you're gonna bring me back, and then I'll have our chef here get started with the pancake.
Okay. How
Other-
long do you need?
Otherwise, they'll miss the cooking.
Yeah.
Just
no,
when
that's-
you're finished if showing stuff, so that's cool.
Okay. Well, I was trying to show stuff, and now my Prezi's gone again. Anyways, welcome. It's Ukraine Invasion Day, 1109 of the illegal Russian invasion into Ukraine, and you can see a daily update in the Daily Cost, KOS, by Annie Lee, who's here, and we'll be hopefully talking about some Ukraine as well as some other stuff. So we've got Al Green. I'm going to share this with you. He got himself in a little bit of trouble. Al Green did.
Got censured. They censured him today.
Right, and I hope. Oh, sorry. Man, oh man. Here we go. So again, I got to. There we go.
Optimism saw its single largest one-month gain ever recorded, a 41-point jump.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant at Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant at Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
Is Al being led out of the House? The State of the Union address, and his sin was he was saying, hey, please don't cut Medicare for my constituents.
Mhm.
You know, he was a heck of a guy.
Well, he's the same guy who introduced the pretty much in the first month of Trump's first term, he introduced a impeachment.
Yes,
Well,
he's working on the articles right now as we speak, right?
It's going to happen. We'll have impeachment 3 at some point.
So I don't know about you, Ann and John and the rest of you. A guy's head is just spinning with the stuff Trump's been doing this week. He can't keep up. So this will be a little discombobulated because he's everywhere at once. And his tariffs, he's now paused tariffs on some Canadian, Mexican imports until April 2nd. And so there's a meme that's, well, a little short video that's going around about it.
If you raise your hand. Now use it to
Yeah, it's unreal, the crap that he's doing. And Canada's keeping theirs on, but not putting on the rest that was going to come effective as of April 2nd. This young lady has some advice for you.
If you voted for Trump, raise your hand. Now use it to slap yourself because you're a dumbass.
So I kind of enjoyed that one. Rob Canoe out of Manitoba has a response to Donald Trump, and I'm just trying. Oh, here we go. And Rob Canoe, if you don't know, is an Indigenous fellow who is the Premier of Manitoba.
This order, it's a wonderful order, it's a beautiful order. This order is pulling American booze off the liquor mart shelves.
Yeah.
So a little bit back to Trump. Hey, the thing about American booze on the shelves, especially the LCBO in Ontario, is that all that booze is on consignment. They don't pay unless it's sold. So they've packaged it up and sending it back to Kentucky, especially the bourbon. And everybody's gonna start drinking Alberta corn mash. So that's real exciting. Joe, are you in good shape? Should I come back to you now or keep going?
Sure thing. If we're all ready, I can
I have
can
some
get the
more,
cook-
but we'll go back to you to check you out if you want.
Sure. Well, we haven't gotten started yet. We're just waiting to see
okay.
all of these the Canadian uprising.
Well, geez.
A lot of people are upset.
Well, yeah, and Trump's Homeland Security Department moved to illegally break a collective agreement with 50,000 TSA members, their union says. And the union also says it's merely a pretext for attacking the rights of regular working Americans across the country because they happen to belong to a union. Getting back to tariffs, Canada will not lift the tariffs it levied on $30 billion worth of American goods. But like I said, there's another tariff coming of 125, and they're going to wait to see what Trump does on that. I've got I've got one more here that you probably want to see, Joe. So let me.
Well,
well, I
hold on, Walter. We're getting started.
Okay,
So
well
we've got a hot
let's
griddle
get
here.
you on there, Joe. As soon as I
Nice.
find you, buddy.
So
Very nice.
we put oil down, and then you rub the oil with a little red onion. So that'll season the pan nicely.
Nice.
Joe, where did you learn the red onion trick there?
I just learned it now. I'm going to remember that one. That's super practical. And about how
Yum.
many minutes does it take to cook? 2 minutes. About 1 or 2 minutes. And you drizzle some oil on the top so that it's going to put the vegetables on next. So the oil, once you flip it over, will also crisp it up and not burn.
Nice.
And we've got chili and tomato as well. No maple syrup on this one, Walter.
No, that's
Meh.
okay. We don't really have maple syrup out west here, but we can tap birch trees apparently. I just found that out. Birch syrup.
So you can see it bubbling up. The fermentation. How many days does it ferment? Over 1 day, and they use the fermentation from the previous day as a starter for this day's batch.
This actually looks really good. Really good.
Look at that.
Nice.
Nice and crispy, toasty. And they'll be
Nice.
serving it. A traditional serving method is to put it on a nice fresh banana leaf.
Banana leaf.
Probably lean
Oh, I
in
thought
to
you were
get
going to fold it up
the
like a
griddle.
grape oven.
So you can use the similar batter, same batter, just different consistency. So to make dosa, which is the larger crepe-like one, that's crispy and rolled into a tube or a cone or a triangle, you use the same batter but thin it out a little bit. Enough you can hear the crackles over the jungle sounds. Oh, I can smell the chili. Achoo. Smells lovely. The onion,
Yum.
and tomato. Very
Yum.
nice. Remember, you don't want to touch these things until they develop a nice little crust.
Yeah,
Oh, lovely. Look at
nice. Yum.
that. Beautiful. That was wonderful. And then we serve it with the vegetable sambar and tomato onion chutney, coconut chutney. Ah, so there's breakfast, South Indian style Kerala. I shall go up and commence chowing down while we continue to keep it.
Okay. Well, that looks
Joe,
awesome.
thank your host for us.
Yes, I will indeed. Thank you.
And yeah, cooking without cilantro. Who'd have thought, eh, Joe?
See, to be honest, I didn't really think it was possible to make a meal without cilantro, but I've been proven wrong. Finally.
That is just awesome. No, that looks real good. The soup and pancake. No, that's a pancake. Smoking a pancake, right? It's awesome. That really looks good. Thank you, Joe. We'll come back to you. All right. Okay, so next on our list is, well, I got two more things to share with you, so I'm going to do that. This young man is a little upset.
What happened to this campaign promise? What happened to this campaign promise? All across Pennsylvania, every highway was dotted with these signs. What happened? J.D. Vance stood in grocery stores and said, egg prices up. What happened? What happened to promises made, promises kept? You promised us low prices. Everything just went up 25%. You promised us higher stock market. Stock market's down 5%. There are percentages everywhere that are dropping. What happened to this campaign promise, Trump? Tariff Trump, what happened? We want to tell you thank you. We want to tell the Republican congressman thank you, but they're no longer doing town halls because they're saying that the constituents that are showing up are all paid protesters or secret Democrats. I want to know what happened. What happened to this campaign promise? Tariff Trump, please. I just want to say thank you for the campaign promise.
Yeah, he's a little upset. That so
yeah.
So so Elon threw a Starship rocket. That's what he calls it, Starship. Professor John, how do you like that? Are you offended that he calls it a Starship, or? Well, you're not hanging. Okay. Right. So let's take a look at what happened to his great big beautiful Starship.
It's in the clouds.
This thing said, oh no, something's gonna...
Whoa. Oh, I see the blue.
Hey guys, get back to the cockpit.
And the debris made its way into the Gulf, formerly called the Gulf of America. And now it's called the Gulf of Starlink debris. So, that's where that went. Leading into and stuff, I thought I'd play this one from Senator Merkley, if you don't mind.
You, Mr. Lundo. Is President Trump a Russian asset?
Absolutely not, Senator. He's the President of the United States, duly elected by the American people.
Well, the reason I ask is many people back home have been asking me this question. And they say, if he was an asset, we would see exactly what he's doing now. For example, he proceeded to forward or express from the Oval Office propaganda that has been Russian propaganda, that Ukraine started the war, that Zelensky is a dictator. Second of all, he gave away key things on the negotiating table before the negotiations even started, ensuring U.S. would absolutely oppose any possibility of NATO membership for Ukraine. Third, he's cut off the arms shipments to Ukraine, completely undermining their ability against a massive neighbor next door with short supply lines and huge resources. Fourth, he's undermined the partnership with Europe, which has been essential to security over the last 80 years, a major goal of Putin's. And then he's done everything to discredit and dismean Zelensky on the international stage with the just shameful press conference in which he teamed up with the vice president to attack Zelensky. I can't imagine that if he was a Russian asset, he could do anything more favorable than these 5 points. What else could a Russian asset actually possibly do that Trump hasn't yet done?
Senator, the president has made it absolutely clear that his top priority is to try to bring peace and end an absolutely savage war. I know you're familiar with the savagery. This is turning into World War I style trench warfare now in eastern Ukraine. The president is an exceptionally gifted deal maker. He is probably the only individual in the entire universe that could actually stop this. The president understands as part of his deal
Well,
making.
let's turn to another of the
you
folks
have to
here.
have carrots and
Thank you
sticks.
very much, since you're now off the topic I was raising. Mr. Whitaker, these 5 things that the president has done that are so favorable to Putin and so damaging to Ukraine and to our partnership with Europe, do you approve of them?
Well, Senator, thanks for that question. I'm just going to have to politely disagree with you on those 5 things and the way you've framed them. You know, the war in Ukraine would have never happened if President Trump was president in 2022. The war in Ukraine happened because of Joe Biden's weakness after his
I don't think
withdrawal
that was
from
the question I
Afghanistan.
asked, but maybe you could some other time go on television and express those points of view. But do you mind just answering the question I asked? Do you agree with the 5 things that President Trump has done, starting with him expressing Russian propaganda from the Oval Office?
Well, you know, again, as I mentioned to your colleague, I am not here to assign labels. We're in the middle of a very important peace negotiation.
Okay,
I agree
thank
with Ambassador.
you. I do hope that we have an administration that works to get the very best deal for Ukraine, but what a Russian asset would do would be to work to get the very best deal for Russia, and that appears to be exactly what Donald Trump is trying to accomplish.
Whoa, strong words. So I'll hand it over to you, Ann, and you could talk us through anything you want. We've gone through tariffs, we've gone through SpaceX, we've got Canada's response, and I guess now we're down to Ukraine.
Well, thanks for that.
And if I could just butt in a minute.
Oh, go ahead.
That made me feel so filthy. Absolutely filthy listening to that. And in fact, I haven't washed my hand. So before I eat the thing in every restaurant, you walk over to the wash basin, and there's always a sink in the eating area.
Cool.
Use the other hand. Oh, use the other hand. There we go.
Wrong hand.
Now,
yeah,
we got the correct hand now. All clean as a bean now. Now we're ready to dig in.
There we go.
Thank you, Joe.
Yum.
There for a minute.
Finger bowls. Yeah, they had Matt Whitaker there, the guy who had a company that sold toilets for well-endowed men. That was I think that's his true claim to fame, other than being an acting attorney general. So that's a good lead-in for where we are with the It's just been a very tough week. The idea that I did a little thing on virtue signaling that the right wing tends to trash the left wing with virtue signaling, where you sort of try to demonstrate that you're doing it for a high moral purpose. And essentially, that's what happened when Zelensky got bushwhacked by Vance and Trump. That peace was the virtue that was being signaled. It still continues to be signaled. You can see that in the little clip that they're talking about peace. It's not really peace. It's Putin's endgame, essentially. And that's kind of what's happening. It's been tough. It has all kinds of little elements in it. And although this past week I've just been wearing out the idea that Trump's code name, KGB code name from the 1980s, was Krasnov. And Comrade Krasnov has been doing lots of terrible and stupid things. Although it got mapped out by Senator Chris Murphy. Chris Murphy showed that for 6 whole weeks and nearly every day, Trump has been doing corrupt things, and his staff did a very good job. There's a good graphic that Chris Murphy, senator from Connecticut, did. So that's kind of interesting and exciting, and includes Ukraine certainly, but it's just tough. It's all propaganda at the present moment still. Although there was the suggestion that there would be another round of negotiations that would occur in Turkey, so that's another thing that's there. But to recapitulate, Trump has tried to get Ukraine to the negotiating table, by cutting security or intelligence support for the Ukrainians. And fortunately, a lot of that is NATO stuff, so it's not necessarily American. There are American assets providing the information, but I think a lot of them are shared one way or the other with NATO countries. So
I think that cost them last night, because they had like 260 missiles out of Russia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They couldn't find, and the problem with that is, so they get some defense warning, but they don't know where the Russians blasted the missiles off, right? Or where they were, so the Ukrainians could attack them before they blasted the missiles.
Yeah, some of it is counter battery stuff, but the big problem, that it's always been a problem, and they don't. With all due respect, the Ukrainians have trouble intercepting the larger, the medium-sized missiles. They've always had that problem. It's really they managed to knock off 68, I think, last night, of the the slower Iranian style drones. So it's, on the other hand, you're quite correct. They launched 180 or 200 drones at Ukraine. Ukraine puts up a general electronic warfare screen that is not connected to U.S. support. So that takes out a lot of, I think, the smaller drones. But the fact is, they did improve their scores, so to speak, and a couple civilians died. It's just not so good. So anyway, that's Russia has been advancing, but the fact is they haven't been advancing that much. And then Ukraine has taken back territory, which I think is in Pokrovsk and Toretsk or whatever. They've taken some territory back, so it's not as bad as everyone is talking about, and it's really quite marginal, with all due respect to territory. But it's existing at these two different levels. At one level, it's Russia continuing to, negate the sovereignty of Ukraine, trying to just sort of leverage their position. It's a very Soviet-style negotiating tactic that they give nothing up. They insist on their solution, their talking points, and unfortunately, the United States has capitulated to that. The United States tried to do a kind of, as I mentioned last week, frickin' frack. They have, it's a kind of carnival act where Zelensky will be talked to in a very kind and sort of accommodating,
Yeah.
conciliatory and accommodating way by Rubio and Waltz, and then Trump and Vance jump in there and say you're not grateful enough or whatever. All of that crap is. I think it's really disturbed a lot of folks. A lot of people are not talking about it, of course, because there's not a lot of coverage by mainstream media is not doing the job that it should. Although I think there's been a lot of pressure because obviously the European response has been much better. There's been movement for better economic and military support. We've got training stuff. There's basing suggestions that may come from both France and England, and then you have this lame. It's a trial balloon that happened about a couple hours ago where Trump says, well, we're going to put, even if we withdraw our military, we're going to put them in Hungary. And I have no idea what that means. It's so left field that it's obviously a trial balloon. And, he's just trying to distract us, just as he's been doing all along.
Speaking of distracting, I wonder if Joe has a finger bowl. Just curious. Sorry.
I just licked my fingers. Oh, this is so lovely. It's so fluffy. When I've tried to make these, I've never achieved that level of fluffiness. So indication that my fermentation wasn't correct. But it's still a little too early for me to be eating breakfast though.
Cool.
What time is it where you are, Joe?
It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. We're on one of those crazy half time zones.
Oh, yes.
So we started at 5:30.
Oh, my.
As Didn't mean to get you off the rails there, Anne. Sorry about that.
No, it's quite all right. It just chaos is happening in the lower 48 or whatever.
But not up in the 51st.
The thing is that all of the old stories have been recycled. The Steele dossier is back in the news. Trump, for whatever obsessive thing, he's just running out of stuff to do. So all of the same things are out there. He's trying to actually track down the sources of the Steele dossier, for example. And all he's done is essentially remind us that, well, about 80% of the Steele dossier is actually correct. It's just the couple of lascivious elements, the urinating sex workers and the Michael Cohen's phone Prague are pretty much the only things that got debunked. And
step too far.
Everything else, though, is pretty accurate.
Right. What about his so for $5 million, you can talk to him one-on-one at Mar-a-Lago. For $1 million, you can share a meal with 12 others. So do you think Hillary Clinton's thinking about, that was my idea? And is she pissed off?
Well, I wrote something that, we're just waiting for some sort of thing where you get Melania and the Lincoln bedroom, shades of the Clinton administration.
There you go. People around Mar-a-Lago are saying that Melania just hates him. Actually, they said she effing hates him. So
I don't know about that. She did manage to smile the other day. I saw her smile the other day.
Well, that's cool.
Well, drugs are always a good thing.
Right. This meeting that's coming up with Ukraine. So I thought they were going to come to the States and British PM and the French president were going to come with him to the States to sign this big, beautiful minerals document. But now I hear it's going to happen in Saudi Arabia. Is that right? Or I'm confused.
It's on the table, but you can see that there are a bunch of other things sort of working in the background. For example, there's a report that a couple of senior Trump minions, and we don't know who they are, and I'm hoping that the mainstream media is actually going to get on this, even though they're kind of weak. They sent about three or four guys to go over to, and I'm sure they're all guys. No, actually they aren't. They had a mixed group, but they went to talk to all of the potential new prime minister or presidents of, Poroshenko and
Tim
they
and Yulia.
yeah, and and they all, of course, told Trump's people to pound sand because it's martial law, and there are actually laws in place relative to martial law that they're not going to. But what he was trying to do is regime change, right? He's trying to actually destabilize Ukraine so that they'll capitulate, and it's really sad and incredibly obvious what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from cutting off the intelligence services and screwing around with all the pieces of government that we have here, and it's chaotic at one level.
I agree. It's just sad. Well, Zelensky, can't he do an executive order to relieve him? No, I'm joking. It's amazing, some laws for other people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you see it going? He's going to be strong-armed. So the United States is thinking about withdrawing from NATO. Apparently, they've withdrawn some people from the Greece base. And there was an article that came out. Well, if the USA leaves NATO, can Ukraine join?
That'll be interesting. Well, you see, that's the kind of thing that's actually going to happen. We're going to see. Well, Europe now has a bigger stake in NATO or whatever, and the fact that certain countries are unilaterally or bilaterally planning to move. The UK is going to move more stuff in, and we may actually have French troops on the ground in Ukraine. So I think you're going to have a de facto NATO response, even though it's not officially NATO. So I think that's going to happen. I think that was the reason why you had the Polish president, doing a joint thing with the NATO head. All of these things are being leveraged all at the same time.
Right. So as far as the world being more safer, what do we got? We got France wanting to become the nuclear umbrella for Europe because they have, right? And then you got the Polish president has said there's going to be conscription and every able-bodied man is going to take some training. That just came out today. Canada said they'd send troops, but I think there'd be only about 5 because we need the rest of them on our border here. So
what are you going to stop all that fentanyl coming over the border?
That is, what a crock.
All 20 kilos of it.
Right. So yeah, that's right. Yeah. As far as the world being safer, I'm not so sure because even some of the European countries are now looking for if they should have the nuclear bomb as well. Germany's really upped their game, and I think that's just perfect. Let's rearm Germany and have them march into Poland, into Ukrainian. I mean, who would be against that?
Well, World War III redux, it could happen pretty easy, which is really sad that it could happen that way. But I think that's cooler heads will prevail. I think once France moves troops in and a couple of other countries, perhaps England or whatever, having the proposal in terms of moving troops in was to cover, I think, the capital and a bunch of other things that were more sort of in support roles, not in direct combat. So, I think they'll be interesting. Now, I agree with you about the nuclear umbrella problem because that's exactly where somebody could do something stupid. But I think we're a ways away from that. It will depend on what Putin decides to do. If he decides to be really stupid. I mean, the current state of it is, of course, that I think he positioned nukes in Belarus, right? So there's other kind of craziness going on. I mean, aside from the stuff in the Baltics, right? You got all that stuff with the shadow fleets and seizing stuff or letting the ship go, but keeping, you know, the sabotage spy guys with the who dragged the anchor, I guess,
Yeah.
in Finland. So that's another thing. It's pretty ugly.
Well, it is. But, you know, according to that guy, Trump's the only guy in the universe who can solve this, right?
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. He's the deal maker supreme. Actually, on Coast there was a person who teaches negotiation, talking about what kind of negotiator that Trump is, and he's you know, he only has one or two different styles for tactical ways in which he does negotiation, and it always is a more transactional, or as I think this guy described, a distributional kind of a negotiating style. And he fails because, you know, he's not smart enough to move, and it is a thing with a lot of moving parts. I mean,
What is
that trial balloon to say, "Oh, we're going to move American troops to Hungary," makes very little sense, but is sort of interesting because he's trying to overcompensate for the, you know, the other major European nations making certain moves.
what do you mean by distributional technique? I'm not familiar.
Well, where you try to, it's always a kind of a balancing act of trying to do a response and hope that you're going to get a kind of equivalent move forward. It never moves towards win-win. Let's put it that way.
It's like throwing stuff
Zero
on the
sum.
wall, right?
Yes, yes,
See what
it
sticks.
is.
Yeah.
It's just you know, it can get to win-win, but it always has a kind of negative element built into it, a kind of a forcing. You know, there's always a kind of a kind of heavy-handed moves forward in negotiating, as opposed to actually trying to seek a common agreement.
So
Resolution.
in school,
yeah.
he never paid attention to business, did he? 'Cause he went to
Well,
Wharton,
you
right?
know, the argument is in this particular model is that he's always used to dealing with contractors, right? This is the
Oh,
thing.
he doesn't pay
It's
him.
no, right. I mean, you know, what he does is he kind of gets the job done and then he stiffs people. So that's another part of his style, that he's always dealing with people who essentially are subordinate relative to making an agreement. So that's kind of what he was pulling in the Oval Office, which was really weird from a, you know, if you just analyze nonverbal behavior, it was pretty clear Zelensky was really felt put upon. And then Trump was just being, you know, whatever, a bully. And then Vance was just an idiot.
I just want to reassure you guys, I'm not running away from Norwegian inscription or the draft coming up. I'm a coward for the cold. I'm just on a sabbatical in good weather.
I got a video of Vansan. Can I show you that one if you got a
Sure.
second? Okay.
Do it.
Yeah, because I'm just amazed by all the people that Trump has around him that used to friggin' hate him.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just bloody
Little
ridiculous.
Marco.
Yeah.
Who never forgets where he came from. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I'm definitely not going to vote for Trump. My current plan is to vote either third party, or as I joke to my wife, I might write in my dog. What Trump is just another opioid. I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place. There is definitely an element of Donald Trump support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. And I agree with you on Trump. I don't think he actually cares about folks. I think that he's leading people in a very dark direction, and that's ultimately what worries me the most about Trump. Trump is a really bad candidate, and frankly, I think a really bad person. I officially accept your nomination to be Vice President of the United States of America.
I really wish we had more ads like that.
Finland to the end. So.
I'll tell you, and I think I remember reading an article. Little Marco had a blow up with Elon Musk at.
Yes. Elon's having little bust ups with everybody. There's a whole thing about the cabinet essentially being really irritated with Elon.
Yeah,
But
you think?
it's Elon's being Elon. He's got his prop kid that he drags through the place. Although he hasn't used him this week, so that's at least slightly better. But
Right.
it's really weird to me.
Oh, it is to me too as well. But all these people who used to disagree with him, they're around him now, and they're actually Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
He's just a terrible human being. In my opinion.
Well, I like, the language, as I've said, the language police, with the language police, all cops are bastards. It is essentially, just weird that they're enforcing probably even more strange and draconian rules about diversity issues. And it's really, satirical in the way they've applied them.
Well, apparently, the language police were going through the war archives, and they were going to change the name of the Enola Gay. They didn't like the gay in there, and these guys are stupid.
Well, they're just lazy. I mean, they're using an AI to sort of call the keyword database, and so everything that says gay is probably, it's just stupidly
Apparently, they're going to
chosen.
call it. Apparently, they're going to call it the Enola Fudge Packer.
Well, yeah, they were inserting homosexual instead of gay, right?
Right. Yeah. That's right.
We're just going to have more rather than less of that kind of craziness. And as I said, it's just laziness. It's, well, the AI, blah, 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 it's like no one can actually is smart enough to sort of look at the damn thing and make the editorial judgment.
Seems that
Or
way.
maybe they're just high on their own supply. There's a lot of ketamine flowing around, it seems.
A pharmaceutical, though, doctor prescribed, right?
So we think.
So,
and we know, Trump uses Adderall to, stay ahead during these kinds of big events. Because, I mean, he now has the record for the longest joint session of Congress or State of the Union address, right? He beat it, the last one by what, 10 minutes.
Well, he's
At
making
an
George
hour and
Bush
40
look
minutes.
like a genius, is what he's doing.
Yes, indeed.
So there was a small department that stopped Doge from coming in, and so they couldn't get fired. That was in the news yesterday. Why? How come the big guys didn't do that as well? They just decided to resign. I mean, like, it's obviously illegal what they're doing. Are the Democrats actually doing anything to get this stopped? I mean, even Trump came out and said Elon's doesn't have permission to fire.
The question is whether there's the sort of statutory authority for certain agencies. Some are, quote unquote, more independent. There's the Administrative Procedures Act defined how independent or less independent some of these agencies are, and they have whole rule sets that are not identical. And so the Doge people are not smart enough to have had a proper kind of legal strategy so that they could actually fire people that they thought could be fired. So on the one hand, you could say that you had to remove a whole bunch of probationary people, which is at one level of analysis. But on the other hand, a lot of these probationary people are the only people available for certain types of functions, which is why they've had to rehire people in CDC and whatever. And they're not identical because agencies have their own separate rule sets. It's unfortunate. I mean, speaking from an efficiency point of view, they should have more standardized rules, but they don't. It's just a feature of post-war bureaucracy that's allowed this to happen. That's why our post office is sort of in trouble, still in trouble, although, maybe we've finally gotten rid of that DeJoy character. But it's still a problem relative to trying to make our postal service into FedEx.
Yeah, privatize it, eh? Jeez, Willikers. Belgium has a half privatized mail postal thing. So I see we're getting to the top of the hour. Did you want to go through the calendar for the week?
Yes, I think we should, or at least for the weekend. Susanna's here. I'm not sure. Are we going to? I don't recall whether we're having something tomorrow night. Are we?
We're blacked out for tomorrow night, but next Saturday, perhaps.
All righty.
Yes.
Looking forward
Is that
to
because
it.
Canada cut off the energy for your internet? No, you're way south. So
way south. I'm worried about Quebec hydro.
Yeah.
I'm the one worried about Quebec hydro. John, are you there? Tell us about Carol Burnett.
Oh boy, looking forward to this one.
Okay.
Well, John. He's probably John. He's probably setting it up. The lost episode from our prior week. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, well, while we're waiting for John, I could just say I finished off my onion tomato uttapham, which is the fermented rice and urad savory pancake of southern India, which is served with the vegetable sambar and onion, tomato, coconut chutney.
Yum.
I would have cleaned my plate. There's just a few extra chilies there I left for good measure.
The Clean Banana Leaf Club, right?
Lovely, yeah. And in terms of the weekend, I shall be heading out into the rainforest here. Apparently there's some elephants around here somewhere. We're gonna go try to spot some elephants.
Are there any monkeys? Monkeys too, or no?
We saw some monkeys. I haven't seen any monkeys. Do you have any monkeys here? Yeah. We haven't been raided yet.
That's good.
Lovely cardamom plants here.
Oh, I like that.
There's papaya, mango, I assume, like mango. Oh, it's a veritable paradise here.
Nice.
A mango tree here.
Yes.
This one here also.
And where are you? Are you at a villa?
I'm in what is termed the Kashmir of the South, or Munnar. It's a region in Kerala, the southern state of southwestern state of India.
Right. Are you in
the highlands?
Are you in a tourist spot, or?
We're kind of out on the edge of that. We've kind of been avoiding that situation.
Okay.
So,
I was just wondering if you're in a public place where people come to or something.
Yeah, we're actually, it's Ramadan now and school exams, so it's quite slow. So it's kind of the off season, and we're the only ones at the homestay.
Okay.
So
Did you want to plug the homestay name in case anybody's?
I'm not sure if I can, but
okay, fair enough.
I can put it in the messages and the afterwards. But if I have regarding the schedule, if there's any night owls, we depart here at 9 in the morning, my time, which is in a few hours. If there's any amount of mobile connection, I'll connect back onto the Zoom if we spot any elephants, so we'll be out there. But we've mostly been off grid. We're off grid in this valley, but they have wired internet connection. But yeah, it depends on the geography here. We're up at 1,600 meters, almost 1,600 meters. We're going to be going a little bit higher than that. This is remarkable. If we were in Norway, 1,600 meters, 900 meters below is the tree line. Amazing.
Well, just awesome. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Joe, can you tell, are there two classes of workers there like we have in the Central Valley, California, where it's mostly Latinos and import workers doing the work, the real work of growing all this food, and then everybody else?
There may be caste instead of class. But one thing that I'm not exactly certain on the structure here. I can maybe get the host, if I can speak to the host just a moment.
That probably is the case, though, isn't it? Without
So we went to Lockhart Tea Plantation, which is worker or shared. Sure, you can explain.
Yeah, the tea plantation actually it was established by the
Mhm.
the whole areas and local was there. Since it's area, they are given to the company. The company in India.
And just to be clear, Kerala is a communist state. So unlike the rest of India, it's the only communist state in India. So the state owns the land, which then leases.
It's on lease for 9 years.
Mhm.
A company called Tata.
Mhm.
So they're on the tea plantation in Mona.
30 plantations.
Oh, wow.
So
Amazing. And we saw tea plants that were about 120 years old or so.
yeah,
Right.
Amazing.
and the laborers they come from nearby state Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
They provide food in the hospital. So they have been taken care of properly.
Well, are they shareholders in the company
Yes,
as well?
they're shareholders as well.
Okay, so no matter what part of the chain that
Yeah,
you work,
correct.
yep.
Every
It's a
year they
cooperative
get,
then, right?
Yeah.
a fair amount of money from the profit of the company.
Would it be termed a cooperative or some other type of
Cooperative.
structure? Yeah.
It's not cooperative. It's like I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Private only, yeah.
It's a private company, but has.
This is a leverage.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you got anything else to add, Anne, before we close up?
No, we are happy for folks to listen in. It's the autonomouscollective.net. Come join us. We have a Discord. We yak about all kinds of stuff. Weekly Marks is on tomorrow at 3 and Sunday at 3. And Star Trek will be on at 5 on Sunday. And later tonight, we're going to get together and I guess it's not sitting Shiva, but it is, we're going to share a bunch of collective grief, I suppose, the passing of Nancy. So that's our evening. That's after Twilight Zone, which is going to happen at the bottom of the hour. We're almost to the end. I don't know if James has the outro set up.
Yeah, I just want to, if I can,
carry on.
Just let me, I'll say this once, is how Trudeau calls President Trump. Donald, stop it. Get some help. Public service
We'll try and do better next week.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Joe. Thank you,
Anne.
Anne.
Thanks, Walter.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, you're welcome.